in the curriculum, what should actually be taught in the curricular pattern. I am trying to tell you, it is not as if that we are interested only in self-criticism, but it is absolutely necessary that we understand what we are talking about. When we talk of the American situation today and the top industries in the US, we are all aware that if you are talking of Arvind Krishna, the chairman of IBM today, or if you are talking of Satya Nadella, the chairman of Microsoft, or the department in which I was a professor teaching, I did report, and it is Sundar Pichai. But what they learning there and what have they become today, they did learn about how to become the chairman of IBM or chairman of the Microsoft. So what they learned to us, basically analytical capability and problem solving capability, and of course not thinking. We talk fact-based things today because of pages 4.0. All this. You go to the scale Odisha of Dharman, where I spent 4 years of the kind, it's the other state of national place killer. Every industry telling that they are for them. The sad part is when we are talking about artificial intelligence and data science, how will the data come so that the industry will organize itself? The data will come only if the services develop the area. We do not have the services today, and therefore we basically purchase this step. We talk of solar kinetic, we talk of zero carbon potential in 2070, and you will say 2070 is too late. India therefore has to advance it at least 20 years. How can that happen? When you say I am to renewable energy, did we understand that by renewable energy the carbon footprint is not here? So therefore the carbon footprint of each of the industries that we are in is very core. So in our education system, I want to tell this audience, which comprises a large number of young people, and I'm very glad to see that when we are talking of our education system, let me start with the primary education. So the K-12 education, the education is not mere education today. The education sector is more than 50 billion US dollars, and it's going to go to $200 billion so. So therefore, the business sector also can turn to the education sector. That is clear. But what is not so clear is it has to be standardized across the globe. If I declare my son to a world-class center of education, the world is Nobel achievements. And what is the world saying? Let's understand at America too. So the International Engineering Alliance, which is headquartered in Wellington in New Zealand, so the 25 countries which are members of that, India has also become a member. So when we talk of Washington at all, amongst the 4-year courses, we know that there is standardization and then mobility. So in Paris, somebody can study Churchapur Engineering College for 2 years, or in Bhubaneswar, one of the engineering colleges. When I was vice chancellor, review we had 110 engineering colleges. Today there are 11 universities now BP. So the universities are done up. But the question is, we have to come to the standard of the international educational process where we are calling universities in April. What about our diploma and the certificates? Sad to say, I'm very sad to say that the CB Accord, Bologna Accord, we are not yet aware of, let alone practicing it. So therefore, how is it that we can come to world standard? We cannot talk of world standard simply by speaking here. So we have to take care that the outcome-based education and these standardization processes that we are talking about become a reality. What about primary and secondary education? The K-12 education today is in Odisha alone is perhaps 7 million, it soon become $1 billion. The skill and startups in Odisha, Government of India started up in IIT Bhubaneswar is 600 crore center recent. And there are other centers and other skill centers also in Odisha. And it has assumed some importance. But if I were to compare some of our startups with some of the modern startups in India, so the first thing that comes to mind, the first name is IIT Madras's center, the Tech Park. And if you go there, There are about 11 unicorns there, and more than 100 there issues which are also highly appealing. So in order to achieve your state, it requires a very, very concerted move. So that's one thing I wanted to tell you about the education part. When it comes to the person of industry, yes, I am ancestral to automotive industry, and I work in steel industry for local years. And that is the capacity which actually acquired a company called Chorus, which has 10 times 6 ties. So that itself was a great thing. But today what is happening is, it is not just about steel, which perhaps India will assume 300 million tons. So today being a total of 130 kilograms of assets in India, what is the size of Chinese steel? 1100 million tons. So it's about 10 times. When you talk those 3.5 billion products of aluminum, what is the size of the aluminum industry in China? 32 billion. So there is no comparison. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it is absolutely necessary that some of these facts and figures we know. When we are talking about automotive industry, by the way, RSK repeats and associated with past 12 years, we are the only automotive company in Odisha. And that means a lot of sadness, I say, because my down is also that big center of automobiles. But that did not happen as yet, because at several regions, they grounded, but we have to go some mission. So when we talk of Odisha industry, so it's not just about steel industry or mining industry and so on, because there is a challenge there. And the challenge is one of ecology. So the ecological challenge is very important there. But what about the other industries, the IT industry and so on? So here talking about solar power, do we realize the carbon footprint for making the solar panel itself is very high? So therefore, it is extremely important that we are talking of wind power and solar power, the carbon footprint itself is quite high. And more important, we don't make in India the solar panels. So the world actually depends on China. 90% solar panels are manufactured there. So we have doing this capital manufacturing. Rare earth is another area where 90% is not done by China. So therefore, it is a dreadful situation that if we are talking about some of the industries, we must realize that the past 6 months, not even 1 year, the American opposite scenario has dramatically changed. It has been completely swept aside by the BYD of China. So the American automotive industry now is swept aside by the electric vehicle from China. One who never has sorted that. You go to Delhi today, you will find a fleet of 200 cars with BYD controlled ground vehicles. That's the kind of situation that take place. So, in order to confirm the situation, you or me will be called up to do that, and young entrepreneurs will be called up to do that. Odisha to that peak or can still become a great center of pharmaceuticals. Has not happened yet, so are you quite today the Cairo has got to prioritize some of these. Similarly, when we are talking of the carbon-free industry, a long boat will remain sooner. I will end up my speech here by saying that Odisha is a land of bridals also, because we have more than 20% bridal in Europe. And the tide of population and really can take any state of whatever we are doing is extremely challenging and very important works. And when we talk of the sizes and the cap education and development and so on, I cannot trust myself on the current situation and say that it will happen automatically. So the language, the life or the livelihood, I'm very glad you see Mrs. Das sitting here. I'm a great singer where we come on a few minutes. And she told me, you know, also try to say, next slide, okay, child songs and the tap cuts with one picture. And even my father was who contributed long back, 1940s, the grammars of the titles, when there was no actual charges processing, or there was nobody had talked about Chomsky's, what we call, the one was national language specific, the other one was competence to linguistics. He had only written the tribal languages of the concerned the sovereigns. So in order to bring them to the mainstream, it is necessary that we know their make, and that this is very important. And the most important thing is, the entrepreneurship today is all of innovation free. and how much of creativity and innovation are we building into our educational systems is the challenge. So, the number of colleges, number of thousands that we are producing, the democratic dividend, unfortunately, does not depend on large numbers alone. The democratic dividend, part to more dividend, that's extremely important, or when it become a bane or a body. So, in order to face the challenge, we have to essentially ensure that more and more entrepreneurs they become innovative. And I know that there are, for example, the notes. I don't know. Last year, I think people times they are feeling. They guys brought a very young family here, and I was amazed to know that he is the second largest manufacturer of drones in India, operating globally. So I was very pleased to know that. So such things are happening also here. So therefore, it is absolutely necessary that these people they are brought to the forefront, and the economic crimes you are big patent here, and year after year I've been seeing you are doing actually human service by bringing these people to the forefront and helping them or putting them up as the models, and more such things will take place. The appeal to get encouraged. Thank you very much for having given me this up.